Welcome friends to IT Buddies channel. This is the part 2 of our full stack application. If you haven't watched the part 1 video about this project, then check the description. There is a link of that video. In this part, we'll create the backend of the application with the help of nodejs and Express framework. So without wasting any time, let's start our coding part. First, let's open command prompt. I want to go inside my desktop to create my folder. You can use any path here. So I'm creating a folder of our project name, that is full stack app. Then go inside that folder and creating a new folder for our backend stuff, mkdir backend. Then go inside that. To get package.json file inside our backend folder, write npm init/y. I am writing /y because it automatically takes the by default answers. Then we will write the code to install some of the dependencies that we will use further inside our backend part. So right here npm I is for install. First dependency is nodemon. With the help of that, we can start our server again whenever we save the file. Second one is Express, and that is the web application server framework of nodejs. Then MySQL 2, this is for our database. Last one is course, the full form of that is cross origin resource sharing. Basically, course allow servers to use a header, access control allow origin. So with the help of that, we can integrate our front end and back end. So the front end part can use the resources of back end. Then press enter here to install all of these dependencies. To open this backend folder inside your Visual Studio Code, simply write code here. So your Visual Studio Code automatically get the access of this backend folder. Here you can see node modules folder is added because we install some of the dependencies. Now go inside this package.json file and write type is module because we are using ES6 features to install our dependencies. Then don't forget to save the file. Create the new folder inside the backend. Name is config because it will contain the configuration of our database. Creating a new file named database.js. Install the dependency that is MySQL from MySQL 2. Here we write the code to create the connection to database. Creating the variable named db. Pass the by default function that is MySQL.createConnection. Inside that we pass 4 parameters. First one is host. Now we are using localhost. User is root by default. And I am not providing any password for my database. So for me, this field is empty. And last one is database name. My database name is postdb that we created inside previous video. Export default db because we are using this db variable inside our other files. Now our config folder is ready and I am creating 3 new folders inside this backend. First one is routes and second one is controllers and last one is models. I am created these three folders because we are using MVC structure for our backend part. If you don't know what is MVC, then revise the introduction video again that I already give you the quick information about the MVC. Now the time is come to write the code inside our model. So I am creating a new file there and the name is product model.js. Product is our table name. So I am using this name and first import connection. We declaring that db variable inside config database.js. I am writing here a query to get all products. For this section, basic knowledge of MySQL is must required. So inside this function, get products. First, I return the result. So I am declaring here we are writing the query inside db.query and the query to get all the products, that is select star from product, and whenever the array is called, here we declare the callback function and pass the error and results. So if any error happening while calling the query, we'll simply print, and also the result is error here, else result will be null because there is no error. Now save this get all products query. Then we are writing the query to get single product. So write export const because we use the function inside our controllers. So get product by id. Here I am passing id also with this result. These two fields will come from the controllers. Bear with me guys, whenever I created the structure you will understand whole the process. Now simply write the code and understand the queries. As usual we are passing the query here. Select star from table, that is product. Here we get a single product, so we define the id inside our table name. Our id name is product underscore id, and here we are using question marks because this field is come from our user. So after this query, pass this id, this field will come, and if any error we'll check here. So inside this error results, write this. This is same as above, but the results will come inside a single field because we only get one attribute from our product with the help of that id. So don't forget to pass the 0 here. This is the error syntax. After this, we write the code to insert product to database. So export const insert product. Here we get the whole data that will come from our user, that is product id product name and product price. As usual, db.query insert into table product, and we're not passing by default values, we are getting this from user. So write this set question mark and pass the field that is data, error results, and pass this. Now only two query remains, that is for update product and delete product. So I'm simply paste that because these two code is similar like this. If you want to get this file access, then check the description. I added my GitHub repository link, so you can also copy the code inside your computer. Now let's understand this function update product by ID. Here we pass the update MySQL query to update, or you can say edit our product table, and we can edit the product name or product price with the help of that product ID because each product has unique ID. And see here we get this product name, product price and ID from our controller, and error and result part is same as before. Then let's understand this delete product by ID function. So this is the query to delete the product table row. So delete from product table where product ID is anything. So whatever the ID will come from the user, that row will be deleted from our database. And here the code for our error and get results. Now our model part is complete now, and let's switch inside these controllers and create a new file that is products.js. So here first we import the functions from product model. So we are importing these five functions: get products, get product by ID, and more. Then let's write the code to call this function get products. So export const show products. This function will call from the routes file. Stick with me, you will understand the whole flow. So this is the request and response callback whenever the path is called. So we get the access of request and response and call the function that is inside the model get products, and let's path the error and results. Simply check if there are any error come when we call this function or not. If error will come, then sending this response error, otherwise response.json results. The code is for get all products. I am writing this comment so you can easily understand that. And now writing this code to get single product, export const show product by ID. Don't forget to define this export const because we will use this function inside our routes, and inside this let's provide this request and response callback and our function to get single product inside model that is get product by ID. And see here guys, to get single product we get the ID from our controller. So here pass the request.params.id and the whole other things of error and results is same as before. Let's copy this and paste inside this. Now the code is for create new product. The function is used to create new product is create product request response. Function name is insert product, and see here we get the access of the data. So don't forget to pass the data here, and the data is undefined now. So let's define the data that will come from request.body. So insert product data error and results. Let's copy and paste here. Now I am copying the two code to update the product and delete the product so we can save the time. So whenever this update product by id function called this, here we get the product name and product price data. So here you can see we pass the data and also the required id. So data will come from request.body and id will come from request.params.id. So this is for update product and this is for delete product. Check here inside this delete product by id function, only id field is required to delete the product. So here we pass only id. So our controller part is done, and let's switch on these routes. Create a new file named routes.js. First, let's import the Express framework that we are using, and we are using EX6 features. So install Express from Express, and here is the import functions from controller. So we are importing these five functions that we declare inside this product.js file. Now I am using the router to declare the paths. So init express router. This will come from express.router. Now let's define the path to get all product. So router.get path is products, and whenever the path is called, so the function is show products is called, and you can see show product is defined inside this controller. See here. Now let's write the code, or you can say the path code to get single product. Router.get products, and don't forget to pass the id. See here, to get single product we require the id. So here we are passing that id inside params and call the function that is show product by id. Now I am paste these three parts to create a new product, update a product with id and delete a product with id. After all of these, let's write export default router. Our routes code is complete now, and let's create a new file inside the backend, and that is index.js. This is the root file for our backend. Import express, then import course to provide these resources to our front end. Import all of the routes that we call inside the routes.js file. Import router from routes.js, init express, defining a variable named app to get the access of express. Use express JSON, so app.use express.json, because remember we pass our responses inside JSON format, so don't forget to implement this. This is for our course. This middleware is for router. App.use router that we define here. Then at last, let's define a port of our backend. So that is app.listen 5000, and after calling this port inside this console.log, let's write server running successfully, save the file, and our index.js file is complete now. To run the backend, click on this new terminal and check here you are inside the right path, and node index.js to start our backend server, and we'll get the message server running successfully because we pass here as a callback. As you can see guys, our server is ready and our whole backend part is done now. The part 2 is over now, and while making this backend, if you got any error while programming, then check the description. There is a link of my GitHub repository, so you can simply copy the code inside your computer. Then if you want to go ahead with this project, then part 3 video link is in the description. In that part, we'll create the front end of our application with Vue.js framework. So see you guys in part 3. Keep watching.